24 Local Programming Department. Fiesta in the Park, Orlando's yearly gathering of arts and artists, draws thousands to downtown Eola Park. This year, spectators focus their attention on works of inter-reverse sculpture, carvings in plexiglass. The judges were also captivated, awarding first place to this hand-carved meeting-sized table. Measuring 3 by 6 feet, this untitled creation explores the topography of some futuristic city. A three-dimensional effect is created by viewing the works from the side. Inter-reverse sculptures intrigues and fascinates all who view them. They are the work of Orlandoan Richard Murray, the guest on tonight's VI People.
Hello, welcome to VI People. Often on the show we've talked to artists, writers, Central Florida personalities, people other people should know, and tonight is no exception. My guest is Richard Murray, an artist whose work in plexiglass is rapidly gaining state and national attention. Futuristic in concept, individual in design, each a registered art original. Richard, welcome to VI People.
Thank you.
You were born in Miami,
Yes.
raised more or less in Tampa, now live in Orlando.
Yes.
But when did you get interested in art?
Shortly after I got out of the Air Force. Well, when I was in the Air Force, I was very interested in art. And after getting out of the service, I moved here to Orlando with my parents, and I worked out of their house for a while getting started. And then I worked for an air conditioning firm to gain enough capitals here in Orlando. I worked for a Kool-Aid in order to gain enough capital to start into this, because this is an expensive art, very expensive.
Before we look a little closer at what we have here in the studio with us, did you begin with sculpting, or did you start your talents, hone your skills in other areas?
I started off first in photography, and then I went into jewelry making, which was fine sculpture. I really dealt with a lot of very intricate little pieces of sculpture that people could wear on their hands, finger sculptures more or less. And I worked in the media of brass and ferrous metals. And then one day I was holding on to a plexiglass rod. I always made new displays. And this display I was going to make had plexiglass rods that came up that had ring slots cut out for the rings to sit in, and you'd have rotating colors underneath the display where the people could see the color, and they would come up and look at the display. And I had my dental drill out, and I was cleaning away at a piece. And while I was doing it, the light in the stop, it fell down and hit the end of that glass rod, and it came right in as I was cutting on that one piece. And next thing I know, I had like a rock maze in Arizona. And I started playing around with different bits, and I put stairways down, a little Indian village off to the side, and cut it off, cleaned it, and polished it, and gave it to one of my friends. And since that time, I've never made any more jewelry. I've been strictly devoted to this for approximately 2.5, 3 years now.
You really developed the technique yourself. It's been done before in the 30s and 40s. There were other artists, sculptors who'd work within a medium as you do here. But what makes your style different from theirs, what was done in the 40s?
The table that is off over here is the largest piece of intersculpt in the world. The technique itself is a negative to the way the dentists work, the way a dental cavity is removed. I'm giving three-dimensional shape and structure through a transparent substance, and it's nothing more than a hole.
Right, now you take a solid piece of plexiglass,
Right.
about 2-3 inches thick, and you drill into that.
Right.
Okay,
From
now several
underneath.
people who have seen the pieces here in the studio and out at Fiesta in the Park thought you made a mold.
Yes.
And then
That's the biggest
sculpture.
question. You know, what's that in there?
Okay, let's take a look at the one that's on the table, which you've already titled.
This
And
one's
so-
called Chondrodon 2. It was part of a universe that I was scheduling and planning to make, and I still am planning to finish this constellation. This is a structure that has a landing area at this end, and it moves on into the major city, and then you have the resort areas where people live and the militia areas along the back walls.
They are very futuristic, very militaristic.
Well, not actually militaristic. It's just that anywhere you go, you never can have peace unless you protect it.
The first time I saw your work, I was reminded of the set for Logan's Run, that short-lived television series several years ago.
Either there, I get a lot of Epcot.
Where did you get the ideas for the cities?
They just came to me all of a sudden. I just started making them. I would make a mountain and then make some plateaus, and I just sit down and they just come to me. I just make them. That's it. I don't worry about where they're coming from.
Okay, could you do something like Orlando or New York City? Does it have to be futuristic? Can you control your images so that you could make work from a design that someone else gave you?
I would do somebody's building, or I would do somebody's piece of land in a tabletop or something like that, but I'd rather deal with something that's futuristic, something that is fantasy, something that you have to use your own imagination, other than things that are here on this planet.
Let's turn this over and give our viewing audience a chance to see what we mean by inter-reverse sculpture. Okay, I think they can see.
Well, no, we don't want to tilt it up too much. Let me just do it right there. Let's see, let's
Maybe
turn
get
it
inside.
Let's turn it right here where they can get it in a good view. Right there. And if you can see inside, when I move this, you'll see that that hole inside, you'll see that that hole is a
Right
hole
there.
inside because it has depth. And then I laminate
How deep,
color.
how far into the plexiglass do you drill?
I only have 3 inches here to drill in, and I have drilled almost 2 7/8 inches. I come pretty close sometimes.
Have you ever gone through on a piece?
Never. Only on little pieces. I've gone through my finger a couple of times, get a little too excited.
The process by which you do this is patented.
Yes.
And when we were talking earlier, we talked about coming down to your studio and filming you do some of that, and you were very hesitant to let anybody else see your technique. Why is that?
I'm trying to protect this right now. You see that there's when I first got into jewelry, I came out with something nobody had. Everything I've ever done has been very innovative, even my furniture and other things. And whenever I show, I hear a lot of clicking of cameras going on, and then I go to a show 3 months later and there are 4 or 5 other people doing what I do. So I didn't show this for a year and a half, putting papers through Washington to get this put into my name, because I'm going to police it and protect it for my future.
Okay, now each one, as you saw on the markings on the bottom of this one and each of the others here in the studio, is a registered art
Yes.
original.
Yes.
Who registers them?
I register them. I am a member of the NMGRA in Washington, D.C., and this is a group of original artists that are monitored by an art organization in Washington, D.C. Every piece that's purchased, you have 3 papers to sign for my records. 2 go to you, 1 come to me, and then I send off to Washington, D.C. registration forms, and then therefore you get back a plaque from Washington, D.C. that says this is on microfilms of the art archives in Washington.
Can each of these, they're each original, they're your design, the value of them, how do you price them? I assume you
Right
have,
now,
when you start a
yes.
piece, you know what you're going to charge for
Yes,
it?
right now, getting started, it's very important that this gets shown and seen and that it gets spread out to the public. I'm pricing them at a cost value and an hourly wage value, same as your regular business. This is a business. I've turned this into a business so that the creativity can be seen for years to come.
And you're supporting yourself by the sculpting.
Right, right.
When you show Fiesta at the Park, you were in Miami not too long ago, you've been throughout the state and you have some major shows coming up. What is the reaction from the people? Do they question the dollar value? What is the cost of this?
This piece is $1,500. It just recently went down to $1,500 from $2,000 because I've had this piece for over a year, and I have other pieces that are this big and longer that I would much rather start showing. So after I hold a piece for a year or so, I take the price value down, move it, keep it going to keep a cash flow rolling in.
Is art a business?
Art is very much a business, and if artists don't make it a business, their creativity doesn't last very long.
What about in the days of Michelangelo and some of those who have lasted through the centuries? They had patrons sponsoring them.
They were fortunate. They were fortunate.
Does today's artists need that as well?
Yes, they do. I think it's something I'm trying to get into in the future is pulling an art institute and organization together so that artists can remain artists and create top quality works and be guarded and under an institutional format so that they don't have to worry about that common dollar beating their door down, and really bring some culture and creativity out.
In your mind, what would take a piece from establishing a dollar value based on the amount of time you put into it to the art object itself?
That's hard. A lot of artists don't have that non-attachment. They make they make a piece of sculpture or a piece of work, and it's like a child to them, you know. And every artist wants to be an angel, or every artist wants to be rich and famous, and there's a lot lost there. Some of us get very egotistical. For a long time, I had a head on me that was this big, and it's very hard to place a dollar value on something. That's why you have to go, how much do you want to get paid per hour? What do you think the creativity is worth? You put a creative factor in on top of your hourly wages, and then you mark in there a percentage that makes it flowable. I call it flowable, to where it can be sold.
Will you sell a piece to anyone?
Yes.
Some artists say, no, you're not going to take care of it. You don't appreciate what I do. Do you feel that anyone can have one of your works?
Anybody can. Anybody that buys one, they wouldn't buy it unless, you know, they wouldn't buy it to throw it on the floor.
Okay.
And if they did throw it on the floor, I'd look at them kind of funny.
Okay, we have a large table here that you've done. It's not finished yet. You've already worked 9 months into it. Let's walk over and let our home audience take a look at this. It is 4 by 6 feet.
3 by 6.
It's 3 by 6 feet. And let's start at the finished area. I like the one on the table. It is a futuristic scene. There are battle stations, and there are cities, and there are walkways. When you started this, did you know what it would look like?
I had no idea. I had a vision of what I wanted. I want a complete city. Every one of these are complete cities.
Okay.
Every piece, it has every one of these is a city within a piece of plexiglass. This is a complete colony. This is a space colony. You have your jetport area or your UFO landing area in this section over here, and then throughout here you've got teletransport, and you have all of your power supply systems all across here, your communication systems that are all over here, and your communique networks.
You've built the city, but who lives in it?
I do when you catch me on that side over there. It's just off somewhere where you use your imagination. That's what it's all about.
It's about a third of the table left that you have not really begun to
major
drill
city.
into. Is that what that's going to be? What
That's
do you
the major
envision
city.
for these? There seems to be plateaus, levels in here.
This is like a village of consciousness, to where you go from one level of consciousness to another, and then from here is where they actually would go through an ascension off into the heavens, or the others of time. I'm a space cadet, so you have to pardon me.
Okay, now you envision this as a meeting table. People could sit
This is
and
an office
conduct
desk.
business over it.
It's an office desk. Once it goes through the final polishing, when it's finished, this is an office desk. It has a clear sheet of acrylic that sits over the top of this so it can't be scratched. And it's something that somebody who has everything can put one of these in his office and just have fun.
Now it is built into this podium, this desk thing, which you built yourself.
Right, this is all handmade too.
Okay,
The
but
handmade era is what this is all about. Right, now you're turning on the lighting. That switch number 1 turns on the white lighting from underneath. 2 turns on the mountains, and 3 turns on the city here. Now, if people at home can see, this has a blue hue all through here.
how did you
the
determine what
cities.
colors you would put in the lights?
We wanted the cities to be blue, and we wanted the mountains to show a red and amber effect, as if they showed heat type of movement. Mark Tremento from Ohio is one of my best friends and business consultants. I showed him how to do this a long time. He wasn't all interested in art, and I showed him how to do this, and I sat him down one day, and I showed him the drill and how to do it, and Mark put all these mountains in here. He just stopped what he was doing and started drilling, and we've got a relationship that I think will last a long time.
Could anybody do it if they picked up a piece of
It's hard.
plexiglass?
It's hard. You have to know the technique. There is a definite technique that's involved here.
Okay, now let's look at it for a little bit. Let's take this mountain range in here. You started underneath, you hollowed out a piece, or you drilled out, and then how do you go into the rest of it? What do you see in your mind? You were working upside down
I'm
and
working
reverse.
totally upside down. I have a mental concept of what's going on both ways. It's kind of like an absolute. And the mountain scenes, we flip it over occasionally and look at
Table.
it. And then we know what to do. When you're drilling in something like this over here, the further down you go, the higher up you're going to be. So everything is kind of in reverse, total reverse. Kind of like the taxing system they use here in the country. But anyway, everything is in total reverse. All the high spots are drilled down. They're drilled deep. Now you'll notice there are a few things in here like craters, valleys, walkways that you go through. This is where the mountains have been met at the very top. And it's been all cleaned out from underneath, and it leaves a very clear passage through there. And you can see right through there.
It looks three-dimensional, like you could actually walk through the mountainway.
Yeah.
Is that hollow, or is that just the illusion?
No, that's just the illusion. That's solid. Everything clear is solid. Everything white is hollowed out. Again,
when will you finish this piece?
In about 2 months. This should be done before Christmas. It should be finished.
This isn't all you do. You have some other hobbies. You work in furniture and wood.
Yes.
Let's go back and sit down and talk about those hobbies of yours. You brought with you in the studio several of the pieces, the intersculpts, and all of them are on woodworkings like this, which you designed and built, and I know that you also do furniture.
Yes.
How do you balance your time between the two art forms?
Well, when I get tired of drilling with the plastic, you know, it's hard on your eyes sometimes. It makes your eyes very strong to have your visions bent constantly. And you have to really strain hard, and you keep your body healthy. Mark and myself, Mark is somewhat of a physical therapist. He's a very, very strong athlete. We have to both be very strong to pick that table up, for instance.
What is the weight of the table?
Approximately 735 pounds on that table. And our couch that we have, I've designed and made a couch, and a lot of Mark's design is in there too. And this couch weighs approximately 500 pounds, and it's a big chair, like a throne with a sleeper off to the end of it, all space orientated. I'm dealing here with imagination, space theory. All my furniture that I make is very contemporary, but very smooth and spacey looking.
How are you being received? I know that you sold a couple of pieces, and that you do have a bid on for that table.
Yes, there's a big ticket on that table.
You're asking $75,000 for it?
No. 50,000 was the price on the table, and I have a patron in New York, in Chicago, that we're probably going to deliver that table to after the 20th of this month. We are really looking forward to getting into the furniture market. But of course that takes a big capital.
This is custom furniture.
Custom furniture, totally custom. But yet we can go into, we have it in a price range to where the average public can buy it and have something totally new and something that no one has. It's just something that's different. It's not all that expensive. I'm not trying to make my fortune overnight. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to create, keep creating, and show some good imagination here.
Is this the way you see you doing for the rest of your life? Is this what Richard Murray is going to be doing?
I'm in it too deep now. I have everything in my life invested in this, and I'm in it too far to say, oh, I think I'll go back to air conditioning or something like that.
Well, what do you get from it besides the cash?
I'm not doing the same thing every day. I don't have to go into a job to where they sit at a desk and do something the same thing every day. I'm doing something different every day. I see a piece start, I see it finish. I put my touch in that thing the whole way. I see something that turned from thought and manifested into a total creation right in front of me. That is nothing but pure gratification and satisfaction.
And then what do you do with the pieces? Is it Richard Murray Incorporated? Do you build your own empire?
No, it's Ramart Intrasculpt is what it's called. And we prototype everything to where well, first thing I do when I make a new piece, I get on the phone and call Jim Brewer, who's my public relations man here in Orlando. And Jim is, every time I make something new, he's there. The guy's excited over what I do. He loves it, and the man's got a reputation that I put my life on it. And it's one of those things, whenever we do something new, we get on the phone, we call Jim. Jim says, let's photograph it, we'll put it in our catalog. And I eventually see myself putting together a nice big catalog for Neiman Marcus and doing shows for the Arabs over in London and the Cannes Film Festival. We would like to go to the Cannes Film Festival this year and do a complete new spacey thing, being that Battlestar Galactica's been out, Close Encounters has been out, you've got Star Wars has been out, there's been a whole bunch of series, Logan's Run. I think the time is now for me to make a move.
But these space phenomena seems to come in cycles. Flash Gordon in the 30s, and now we have Battlestar Galactica.
They're always here.
2001. But they changed. Isn't it possible that your stuff is just fad?
No. I don't think so, because the design I've used here is abstract Egyptian. This is now modernistic Egyptian. I deal with the pyramids. I'm a very heavy fan of the pyramids and the powers that are prevailed there. And just the things that are unknown are the things I like to deal with, because nobody can question that.
It's all yours.
Right, more or less.
When you work
It's
in a
theirs
piece,
too. I just bring it up.
how important to you, how personal are they? Whether you're working on one of the smaller ones we have up here, that 4x5 square, or the large table, or the piece here, does they have special meanings to you? Is one more important depending on size and the amount of time and effort that went into it?
I tell you, you spend a long time on something, you become attached to it. But the hardest thing to learn in life, I feel, is non-attachment. To be non-attached to it. Otherwise, to step aside and let the feelings go. Artists must survive. I must survive.
Financially.
Financially. Money talks on this physical plane. And that's what keeps it all going. Without it, it's going to be hard for me to create out of a garage again with over $100,000 worth of tools. You know? My mom and dad don't have that big of a garage.
Yeah, but let's look at the money aspect. Many artists, we always hear them starving in their garrets in New York, in London, across the world. Can you expect to turn your talent into cash and have it support you that way?
Yes.
You can, and you do.
I totally do. And I also see myself in the future, I'm trying to put together and bring forth one of the largest art institutes in the United States right here in Southern Florida.
You're very young, you're only 25.
Right. Right.
Where do you get all these plans? How do you see yourself creating your own empire, your own universe? Because with all the art pieces here, with everything you have in yourself, do you see, as I said before, incorporating yourself into being?
Yes. Yes. We're going through the corporation works now. And because Jim Brewer, I sat down with him the other day and I showed him the institutional format and the financial structure and the taxation structure of the whole institute, and the thing that now that we are all trying to get going, because it's going to be a good thing. This town's going to outgrow itself, I feel. And an art institute would be a superb thing for the school systems around here. Kids are neat. I love taking this to schools and showing children, because children are our future. And we must keep them creative. We must keep them imaginative.
And you would build your art institute here, so Richard
Yes.
Murray is staying in Central Florida.
Yes, oh yes. I'm going to try.
Even if
to.
you got called to Chicago or New York or Cannes?
Oh yes,
you
I
would
would
set up-
base myself out of here. I would be gone from here for a short period of time, but I'd be back.
Richard, when you go out to schools or to some of the art shows, people I know ask you, what do I do to get started? How can I catch on? How can I get popular? How can I make money? What do you tell them?
It's all within themselves. You have to show. I would suggest them getting in touch with, if anybody really wanted to get started in the arts and they had something worthwhile, something you feel inside of you is worthwhile, I would suggest getting in touch with Sunshine Artist Magazine. They have a listing of every show in the United States possible of ever getting into. And you can schedule shows and get into shows and show your work and sell your work and make money. There
So
are artists.
being seen is really what
Being
it's all
seen,
about.
getting yourself in front of the public. Contact a good public relations man. Finance yourself. Put yourself into a financial structure so that your creativity won't die out.
Should each artist expect to starve a while, though?
That's the fun part about it. That's it makes it all worthwhile. Michelangelo went hungry for a long time until he had somebody come up and say, "You're doing a good thing," and give you some money. I don't expect anybody to give me money, but I sure would like to find somebody that I would say, okay, you're the kind of guy that likes to work for it. I'd like to work for it. I think I've got something worthwhile.
From plexiglass to furniture. That's where you're going to stay?
Everything. I have new lighting concepts. I've just got something that's different. I've got a change that I'd like to show, and it's difficult.
Richard Murray, thank you for joining us in tonight's VI People. That concludes tonight's show. I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening and meeting to Richard Murray. For Channel 24's local programming department, I'm Toby Preminger. Thank you, and stay tuned for Probe.